Rob, we are here to talk about, we are now the internet's preeminent pen podcast. There was once a guy named Brad Dowdy who had some success in the pen space, and we have since taken over for him because you have bought pens, and now we are talking on a podcast. So I think the rule is that we have dethroned poor Brad Dowdy.
Yeah, I'm very aware he's recording an episode tomorrow. So if we get this out really quick.
Oh, see, this is how they do it on the internet. This is how you compete. This is content competition.
Yeah, we get this out today, and for a period of maybe 24 hours, we are the most recent podcast talking about pens.
Yep, there it is. That's how it works. We're going to be number one in Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your favorite podcasts, because that's how it works. And
especially your favorite pen podcasts.
Your favorite pen podcast. Yes, I apologize to Brad in advance because Brad's a nice guy, but we got to make a living too. So we're gonna dethrone Brad and take over his whole thing. No, that isn't quite accurate. This show is not changing, although Rob has changed now that he's the big Bujo boy of the podcast. And so he's going to tell us today a little bit about the pens he's been buying. And I saw your pens marked down in a post on Mastodon, and they looked very nice. You had some very lovely colors.
Yeah, so there's been two. Yeah, so this is what happened because last episode we spoke about how I was doing bullet journal, and I bought some just some Jetstream pens, which is a pretty standard but nice pen.
Yep.
And since then, I've maybe bought some Pokemon themed pens and mechanical pencils.
That's how they get you. They got that co-branding thing going.
Right. So there was those ones. And then, yes, this week, so yesterday, I bought a pack of 30 pens, which was 15 highlighters and 15 pens. And they come with a little stand, little holder. And I was able to put my other pens in that. And it's on my desk right now. And I even did... If you've ever seen a pen website, people do like a little sample page so you can take a photo. I even did one of those. So people can see the colors and stuff like that.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah.
I might be in quite deep.
It sounds like it sounds like you're at least 40 pens by my count in at least that deep, because you bought 30 and you also had already bought a handful before that. So, all right. Got a good collection going already it's only been 2 weeks.
It has only been 2 weeks. And, I'm still bullet journaling. I've still been doing that every day.
Yeah. Is it going all right still?
It's going all right. Yeah. The reason I wanted these highlighters, because I wanted a bit more color just to make it look a bit nicer. And
help you find things again if you need to, I suppose.
Yeah. For highlighting things, I suppose, is generally what they're for. And like normally these come in packs of like 5, these particular highlighters, and then Tesco had this mega pack for £10. So I was like, well, I'm obviously going to get that instead because it'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, who doesn't want a mega pack?
Exactly.
Especially, did it actually say mega on it?
It did not say mega. I believe it was called...
That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just loading it up. Although I believe it's my blog post title. It is. It was just called the Big 30 Pack. That was all it was called.
Oh, boy. Some people are trying to get the 6-pack. You've got the Big 30 Pack.
Exactly.
It's 5 times a 6-pack.
Yeah, I know.
See,
it's way better.
I can do math without any resorting to any sort of trickery, like going online or using a calculator. Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm congratulations on the highlighters and the pens. It sounds really nice. I am very familiar with the Jet pens. They are very nice. I'm a big fan of that kind of gel ink that dries fast. I'm left-handed, so one of the problems I've always had when I was into notebooks and things, whether it's pens or pencils or whatever, is I drag my hand across the writing and end up getting black all over, or whatever color, all over the side of my hand. So I suppose that's one reason why I'm all digital now. I got a little tired of that, but
yeah, I suppose
there are
that
some pens that handle that pretty well.
Yeah, I have seen you see mention of this quite a lot in various different pens when I've been looking around, and they don't smear and they're good for left-handers, which totally makes sense because that is not an issue that I've ever had because I'm right.
That seems like a debate that is probably on Reddit a lot. Like, is it good for the left-handed people or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I like to say I'm about 40 pens deep now. It's been 2 weeks. I don't have my sights on any more right now. I do have some more mechanical pencils coming that somebody kindly bought me. They're coming tomorrow. But other than that, I think that's it. So
okay, all right. For now, well, I mean, you got 2 weeks before you have to report in again. So, we'll check into Pen Corner with Rob Knight.
Well, if the Pokemon Company are going to keep making pens and pencils, I mean, that's not my fault. Like
they make a lot of stuff that people want. They're very good at that.
Yeah, they really are. There was actually not that I would have bought this because this is definitely not my thing, but there was a fountain pen I think that people like. And there was Pokemon branded one, so there was the 3 starter Pokemon, and even the refills came in like a little Pokemon box. So like, I mean, that obviously all sold out whenever that did come out, but yeah, I had spotted that when I was looking around. I thought, oh yeah, that's some good business right there.
Wow, that is good. Yeah, well, that's good. Well, congratulations again, and good luck with your new colors. Make sure you use every color every day. And I don't know. That's the only advice I have.
Well, thank you, Ron. That's good advice.
It is. I'm full of it, literally. We should move on to talking about a topic that you brought to the show, which is Pebble is coming back. I want to know what you think about this whole Pebble thing. Yeah,
so I believe it's like the guy who started Pebble originally.
It is.
Posted this on his blog that they're bringing Pebble back. Like they've convinced Google, I believe, because through various acquisitions, Google owns Pebble, or at least the source code or something. They convinced Google to open source it. There's also Rebel, which is like a community version so you can continue to run your Pebble at the moment. But they're bringing back a new Pebble, presumably a new operating system. This is pretty exciting. I'm into this.
All right. Yeah. No, I think it's interesting too. I mean, I think Pebble, would probably hurt them the most of anything was that they didn't have the kind of OS level access that they needed to really do a good job with the Pebble. Like they did a good job with the Pebble, but they were limited in how far they could go with the Pebble because of things like, the connectivity with the iPhone in particular, I think at the time. And, it was good for doing things like obviously controlling your music, and it did notifications and a lot of other basic stuff. It'll be interesting to see if that's something people still want. It's been a long time since the Pebble was out there. It's, I don't know. I like the idea of the long battery life because it's e-ink, and I like the simplicity. I just wonder I'm curious what they'll add to try to modernize it, and I'm curious whether it'll be enough for people who are accustomed to whether it's Android Wear or an Apple Watch to jump ship and try something like that.
Yeah, I think, well, firstly, what it made me do was dig out my Pebble Steel, which I'm currently trying to revive by leaving on charge for a week. So I'll report
Good luck with that battery. Good luck with that battery. Now, I had a Pebble around here for quite a while. I don't know if it survived the move to North Carolina, but I did run across it not that long ago, as in not that many years ago.
Yeah. So I'm trying to revive it because I had seen online there was a few discussions on Reddit that people who end up in that situation, they've left it on charge for a week, and that's like kickstarted the battery because it will. If it's plugged in, I can see the screen and I can do stuff with it. But as soon as I unplug it, it dies again.
Oh yeah.
So
I've had gadgets that have done that before.
Yeah.
They work, but they can't hold the charge for more than a couple minutes.
Exactly. So I'm trying to bring that back from the dead, just for no other reason. I just want to look at it because it's kind of fun.
I didn't know that you had the steel. The steel is, I had just like one of the very basic plastic band ones.
Yeah, I came to it pretty late. I feel like I must have only had it probably a year or so before the Apple Watch came out, I guess, because that was about when it came out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to revive that. But to what you said, I think, I mean, firstly, I think the hardware is going to be a lot better this time around. Like,
oh, sure.
The kind of low battery, Bluetooth, low energy. I mean, the Pebbles were slow, like really slow. Like they were not good. So I think technology's on their side.
True. And
I also think there's definitely a market, albeit a fairly small market, that companies like Nothing, I think, are sort of in that market where it's these sort of budget entry, lower spec, lower feature products, whether that's phones or headphones, watches, that kind of thing. Because I feel like there's definitely a sort of push towards people are almost moving away from either Apple or Android, for that matter. Like they want to be like less locked into a brand, like or an ecosystem. And you know, the Nothing phone is a good example because it's quite cheap, but it's still a decent device. Like you could get by perfectly fine with that phone for most people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think Pebble could quite easily slide into that sort of market if they can keep the price down, which I suspect they probably will. I mean, they did previously. There's no reason it can't be around whatever it was last time. I think they can do pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that is a very good point, that people don't want to be locked in the same way that maybe they have historically. And I think now is a really good time for gadgets. It feels like, especially part of it's been like the rise of all the AI hype that people want to shove AI into everything. But you know, I guess the silver lining around some of the nonsense around that is that people are trying new gadgets. And I think that that's a good thing, even though I think something like, for instance, the Humane Pin or the Rabbit R1 were both pretty clearly, to me, failures and didn't live up to the hype. I think it's still interesting to try these new ways of interacting with gadgets and getting the information that we want. So I think it's good. And there's there are a lot of companies doing weird stuff now. A lot of it's coming out of China. That may slow down for the U.S. market with more tariffs and everything, but there've been a lot of interest in, handheld window PCs and weird foldable monitors for your laptop and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I really like that. I feel like, Samsung and Google and Apple, they're all kind of set in their ways. Like, other than the Vision Pro, which, we can debate whether that was a good idea or not. Apple's not really doing any serious innovating right now. Maybe they are to a degree in software, but their hardware is pretty much commoditized these days.
Yeah, I feel like, if you ignore the very specific lock-in things with Apple, like iMessage, for example, but like,
right,
if you handed me the latest Android phone, whatever Samsung's, I guess it would be S24, 25 or whatever. You hand me that, or hand me Google's top end phone, or hand me Apple's top end phone. In the grand scheme of things, am I going to notice a difference? Not really. Like they're functionally the same thing. There's nothing interesting happening there at all. And to your point, the Vision Pro, whether it's been successful or not, was an interesting product, or is an interesting product. And I think that's why something like the Nothing phone or their watch or their earbuds, and to your point, like the, handheld emulators and stuff like that and PCs, it's why these things are popular, because people want interesting things, and Apple and Google are not the companies to bring us the interesting things right now.
No, that's true. And I mean, part of it is, I think Apple's going to be really careful because their lock-in and their restrictions are what is going to start driving people to these other markets. Because, for instance, this whole thing with emulators and not being able to do that for so long on iOS, and now you can, but it's compared to the Android, the Google Play Store, and the fact that Android will allow you to do JIT with your games, so that you can play higher end emulated games. It's still much better over on the Android side. So that drives somebody like me to buy something like an Anodin Portal 2, Anodin 2 Portal, that's the actual real name. Anyway, to that device, which is really just a big phone with a controller attached to it. But you can't really do that nearly as well. Even if you get a really nice controller and, put it around the iPhone, it's still a much better experience if you're on Android. And then once you're in Android, and you're dealing with Android. And that's, I'm somebody who didn't really have a lot of incentive to go over to Android since I was deep in Apple already, but now I am. And I'm also using a Windows computer of all things again on another handheld. And so that's like broadened my horizons in a lot of ways. And I think that ultimately is kind of a risk for Apple as it loses some of the people who are the deepest into their products.
Yeah. And I feel like that's me to some extent. Like the Apple Watch is a good example where I'm sure Apple would love it if we all upgraded those every year.
Yeah, I've stopped doing that. That's coming from someone who writes about these things every single year,
Right. I'm on my third Apple Watch now since they released, which is, that's not a lot in terms of Apple products. But now I've had it for whatever it is, 10 years or something, I'm more aware of what I'm actually getting out of it. So right. I could go to some other third party manufacturer, some other watch that's not made by Apple, assuming that the things I care about are not system level things that only Apple has access to. Right. And fine, that is only the Apple Watch. That's one thing. But then, the next thing is, maybe I don't need the phone, or the computer is, I'm not going to get rid of the computer. That's crazy.
And that's part of your job too. So it's a little different, I think, for something like a computer. I mean, not that you can't do work on things like an iPhone or an iPad, but for a lot of people, the computer is primarily work. Even if it's not just your work, it's sometimes the work you do at home, like doing your taxes and paying your bills, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the fact that I'm even looking at other watches and interested in seeing what's going on, like it's like, okay, well the next step is, maybe I get a different phone, maybe I go get the Samsung A whatever at some point. Like that's not necessarily the case, because I feel like, I've just had another kid, my life's stressful enough, I don't need to be switching things. But I think in a different scenario where that wasn't what's going on, if I had a bit more time to think about this stuff and switch, then maybe I would be doing that, if for no other reason than just for something more interesting going on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rob, did you get my invite?
Oh, I'm not going to be able to sleep after seeing your invite.
My invite was published for the world to see on Mac Stories today, because Apple released Invite, which is a way to invite people to stuff, parties, other kinds of events, really whatever you want. And of course it has Image Playground baked into it. And so, here's a behind the scenes story for you. We heard that it was live on the store from somebody before Apple announced the press release. So I immediately sat down and started writing an article about it after having downloaded it myself and poked through it a little bit. While I was writing, based on what I had already looked at, Federico was downloading it, poking around, and creating invitations and sending me screenshots to include in the story. So we had it up. We actually had it up after the press release came out, but by the time the press release was out, it was at least 3/4 finished, which was good. It was nice to be quick, usually is with this kind of stuff. But, my initial reaction to those images it was a picture of me. Federico was inviting me to a birthday party for me. And it was an Image Playground picture of me in a birthday hat with a cake. And I said to him, I hate it. I'm not using it. And he said, it's so bad. It's perfect. You have to. And I said, and my reaction was, I hate it when you're right. Because he was absolutely right. Because you need to see it to understand it. Now, this app is not a bad app. It's maybe you could argue whether this should have just been a feature of Calendar. These two things are very separate. Like these invitations will not just show up in your calendar, which is kind of as like calendar invitations. You can get the event into your calendar, but they don't, there's like those two systems are completely divorced from each other. But it does a very nice job, I think, of integrating a lot of different systems and APIs across iOS. For instance, you can send a playlist and you can use images and it incorporates maps, contexts, and emojis and all kinds of different things all into one app in a way that's really nicely, tightly integrated. I think that the image playground stuff is icky. I don't like it and I would never use it, but there are a lot of other options because you can use photographs and backgrounds that are similar to like some of the stuff you can do for lock screen, wallpapers or home screen wallpapers, that sort of thing with emoji. And so, yeah, they did it. I do wonder whether they'll maintain it because there's a long history of things like clips and music memos and I don't know. They used to have a card app for making greeting cards, which is not that far off from what this is. And so those things have all existed in the past and been either rarely updated and then abandoned or just left to languish. So we'll see. I mean, I really don't think I'll ever use it, to be honest.
No, I mean, I had a look at what you'd written here. I'm somebody who uses actual calendars and invites and I've got stuff shared with my wife and stuff like that. This looks nice, and the shared album thing very handy. Like that seems genuinely useful to be like, oh, all of us were at this thing,
right?
But does that need to be part of this invite app? Could that just not be a feature of Photos?
Right.
You can show me the weather. I mean, great, I guess. Like I don't put much stock in I can't be that excited about being shown weather for, an event. Like it's whatever. That's a feature of a lot of calendar apps now as well.
Rob, you have little kids. Would you use this to send an invitation to like a friend to say, why don't we meet at the park so our kids can play? And, I don't know, something like that.
I mean, maybe I'm not sure. Like, why wouldn't I just send them a message?
Yeah.
I
think probably this will be useful for people who are trying to organize more than 3 people. Mainly because, what it does avoid is the back and forth texting or the back and forth emailing. So that there is a benefit to that. I mean, if you have a group thread, I'm not so sure how onerous it is if you have like a group of friends who are talking all the time in a thread and you're planning to go out to dinner or something. I don't know how much this is really going to save you, but if it's like, I don't know, either someone who you don't do that with or a group that crosses a bunch that are just a different group of people who aren't using those kind of things, I can see it saving time there. And it's meant to look nice, and I think it does look nice. I had this revelation when thinking about this app a little bit, that is, Image Playground is Apple's response to whenever somebody looks at their apps and they say, oh, the Photos app looks great, but all the people in it are models and they look perfect. And nothing I ever do looks perfect, And there's something to that. And I think Apple feels like this Image Playground stuff looks nice and is like at least consistent in style in that.
I mean, it's certainly that.
It's certainly that. I think that they genuinely feel like they're giving people the tool to make everything look good that they put out there. And I think that's wrong. I don't think they look good myself, but I think that's kind of what they're going for. Something fun and nice, and inoffensive.
See, I don't have a sense of what people, because who do I talk to? Like, I talk to you guys. I'm in a bunch of Discords where it's all a bunch of nerds like us.
That's the problem. We live online, basically. The people I hang out with the most are people thousands of miles away.
Right. Like, I don't have any sense of what a normal person in the world who just happens to have an iPhone that can do this stuff, do they care? Are they using it? I have no idea. Usually I would ask Jess, my wife, but she has an iPhone 14 Pro, so it doesn't have this stuff.
Yeah.
As far as I know, none of her friends have got this stuff. Like, I don't have any sense of whether people outside of our circle, because we can all go, well, it's Apple Intelligence, it's, Image Playgrounds, it's rubbish. I don't know what normal people think. From my point of view,
they just think it's a way to create a picture.
From my point of view, I look at this and you say it's consistent, and I'm like, you're absolutely right. It's consistently bad. Like, it just looks not good.
I agree. I just don't think that they agree. I think if you ask somebody at Apple, they would say that it's nice. I really do.
I don't want to see a weird, shiny-headed John that looks like a hostage situation.
Believe me, I didn't like that picture either.
No, yeah, and the one of Stephen is not much better. Like, it just
looks like he's dressed like Moses or something.
Right, and it just everything about it, like you just look dead in the eyes, and like,
yeah, I know, it's this weird 1,000-mile stare or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't like it. I really don't. And like, to what you said, I don't like seeing this on every single bit of promotional stuff that's coming out of Apple, because, as you say, I think they clearly think that this is the best way to go.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I don't like it any more than you do. I'm just trying to think of explanations for why they're all in on this, which I don't really get. I think it's particularly interesting, like, as you said, a lot of normal people don't even have any of these features. And I don't know that this kind of thing is going to say, tell them, I should go update my phone because now I'll be able to send these invitations. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. It's worth noting that you can only send the invitations if you have an iCloud Plus subscription, but you can receive them from anybody, including, I think, if you're not on iPhones, because there's an iCloud.com component to this too. So, they've thought of a lot of things in that sense, and that's good. But like I said, I don't think I'm probably going to use it much myself.
Why is sending them locked behind a paywall? I don't understand.
Yeah, my view of it is, it's like they're trying to make iCloud Plus seem better without giving you more storage, which is what people really want.
Yeah, I mean, come on now, just make it 10 gig. Like,
yeah,
it's fine. Just do it for some people. We won't tell anyone. Like,
yeah. Oh, well.
Oh dear. What else did you want to do? What's this? You mentioned Breakout Beyond.
Breakout Beyond. I literally just ran across this morning when I was skimming through RSS, and I thought it looked kind of cool. It's a game that's coming soon. There's not an actual date on it, but it's Atari and it's Breakout, but horizontal, which was kind of a mind bender when I saw it. It's coming out on everything. It's coming out on Xbox, PS5, PS4, Steam, pretty much everything. And it's horizontal. Other than that, I mean, it looks an awful lot like the original Breakout game, but maybe a little amped up and a little more frenetic for modern tastes. But I thought it looked kind of fun, so I thought I'd keep an eye out for it and mention it here, since it's one that I put on my wish list. Yeah,
this is interesting, actually. You're right. Like, seeing it sideways is really breaking my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
It says it's also got local co-op as well, which is interesting.
Oh, okay.
You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, you don't really. And I've always been a fan of Breakout, so I thought, I think Atari's doing some fairly interesting stuff with their old catalog. I mean, yeah, I think that company is kind of a shadow of what it used to be, but they're playing on the nostalgia factor, both in current releases for modern consoles as well as doing some other things. They sell an awful lot of merch. They have some really good merch at Atari, by the way, so check that out too. Sweatshirts, hats.
Oh, look at this. I'm going shopping.
The one that I want. I want the trucker hat.
Yeah,
find the trucker hat. There's a hat section. It's like the brown trucker hat.
Oh yeah. I went straight to the hat section.
Yeah.
Although these are all in the US. I wonder if they have a EU store.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. These are nice though. This is some
I
nice
actually
stuff.
have a task. I have a task called buy Atari hat, and I haven't done it yet.
Nice. Yeah, oh my god, you shouldn't have told me this. Oh, look at that.
Some good t-shirts in there too. T-shirts, hats, sweatshirts. I forget what else. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff here. Like I say, I think the problem will be, will they ship it to the UK? How much is it going to cost me?
Exactly.
I don't. Oh, I'm going to have a look at this stuff. We'll put this in the Atari cartridges. What? They're actually selling cartridges for the Atari.
Well, they have
26.
that. Yeah, I think because they have that one of those retro remade consoles, and I think they do make cartridges for it.
That's okay. Well, that's incredible. I love it. Anyway, I'm getting very distracted, but I am going to look at this afterwards.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I have one of those. I actually need to fiddle around with them a little bit. I bought one of those mini Atari systems.
Oh my god! Have you seen this Atari joystick decanter set for your whiskey?
No, I have not.
All right. Right. The final thing, but I'm sending this to you right now on iMessage. It's $125. And I've said whiskey. Is that what people put in these? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't drink spirits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I have no idea.
I don't really much myself either, but this could be where I could put my Irish whiskey in it maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where
I could just fill this up with Monster.
Yeah, why not? Right? You could do. Federico asked me about moonshine on App Stores this week. I could, you could put a little moonshine in there. That'd really light up your life. Oh, here it is. I just got it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is quite fancy. It's crystal.
Yeah.
It's got a couple of little tumblers for your beverage, and the decanter is shaped like the joystick with, but it's all in glass. It looks pretty classy.
This is beautiful. Oh, it says shipped worldwide.
It comes with this little stand that says futuristic since forever. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Anyway, we're going to have to start recording because nobody wants to listen to us browse the Atari store.
No, that's true. And I'm not getting a decanter for the record. I think, I draw the line somewhere, Rob. I mean, I think a $25 hat is more my speed.
Yeah, I don't think a decanter set is ideal with the children running around.
No, that either, especially made out of glass.
Yeah. Children, don't touch Daddy's Atari decanter set.
It's not for playing. Oh boy.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks and we'll see what we have and haven't bought.
Yeah, especially pens. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be back. I'll make sure to remember to quiz Rob on his pen purchases.
There we go. Thanks for that.
All right. Talk to you later, Rob.
Speak to you later.